Orange Lady here with the juice you need to build and sustain your career. I have over 20 plus years of experience in the tech, nonprofit, and public sectors, and I want you to leverage all the lessons I've learned to help you make smart career decisions so you can have a strong financial foundation so that you can spend more time doing the things you love outside of work, because that's really what our career is here for. Okay, cheers. Having some water today, and welcome. A little ASMR. Today, we are going to talk about negotiating in this job climate. If you have followed me on Instagram or consumed any of my content or ever met me, you know that I am one of the biggest advocates and pushers for negotiating. Negotiating when you get a new job, negotiating when you take on new responsibilities, just always negotiating. But it looks and feels a little bit different right now when there are so many layoffs continuing to happen. It feels like every company is putting out statements and memos about tightening up and being scrappy and making sure that they cut the fat. I don't know, whatever, whatever things they are saying. It's basically like, hey, do your job, act right, don't ask for too much, you're lucky to have a job, is sometimes the message that comes through. So, how can you still negotiate or go for promo in a time like this? Let's remember a couple of key things. One, if this is a new job negotiation, this is still the most power that you have in negotiating, period. They have spent ad dollars, they have spent recruiter time, they have spent hiring managers' time interviewing you, team time, collaborating to make the final decision. If it's you, they want to land you, right? They want you in the door. They don't want to have to start their process over. So you still have negotiating power. I think it just needs to be a little bit softer. I know, that might not sound right, but I think it's the difference between, hey, I was looking to make this. What can you do to make it happen? Say, okay, I want to make $150K. What can you do? Versus maybe the softer version in an email, or you could say it would be, hey, I'm trying to get closer to $150K. Is there anything that we can do to move that number closer to it? Right? It feels less like an ultimatum that you're just like, hey, just asking, asking for a friend. Is there any wiggle room here? I also think it's okay to acknowledge, hey, I know this is a tough job market, competitive job market, whatever you want to say. But I still was hoping to be able to negotiate. Ask the recruiter, is it open for negotiation? Now, I know there are some recruiters in our JuiceBar Squeeze community, and I love you. But I also know that recruiters will say just about anything to get somebody in the door. So even before the situation we're in now, you would have recruiters say, oh no, or hiring managers, nope, there's no room for negotiation. Can't do that. There's always room. It just might not be salary, right? Hey, if we're not able to move on the total compensation, can we look at flexibility in how many days I come to the office and how much paid time off I get in my schedule? Maybe it's easier for me to work 7 to 3. Maybe you need a little more flexibility. Whatever that is, remember that compensation and salary are the most important things you can negotiate because everything's based on that. But they're not the only things you can negotiate. If you are in a role but you are planning on going for promotion, just because it's a wild time right now with jobs does not mean you should not continue on that path until somebody says that that is a dead end. Period. You should move forward with the same confidence and normalcy that you had when you, because I know you did this, you let your manager know well ahead of time that you expect to go for a promotion, right? You did that? I'm gonna pause. I can hear you say, yes, of course, Ashley. Okay. So yes, great. You did that right. Because your promotion should still be something that's important. Now, if they try to say, oh, we don't know how many promotions there will be like, okay, well, how can I make sure that my, application that I'm putting forward to go for promotion is given the due that it deserves, right? That is given the time that it deserves. And depending on what the response is, it's a data point for you to make a decision. Okay, do I want to continue down this path, or should I start looking at other internal roles to move around? Right now, there is going to be a lot more internal movement. And I can tell you that based on zero facts. So this is just a vibe, but this is what I'm thinking. That we're going to see more internal movement because people feel safer there, right? Just like you're going to see more people staying in their role, even if they had planned on leaving, getting promoted, going to another team, because it feels safer to stay where they are. So what's the little bit of risk, but not that much risk, is moving to a different team internally, right? It still feels kind of safe, the company, but you're still able to move. Proceed. I don't think that is the worst idea. I do think you should do your homework. Has this new team or org done layoffs? If they did, what level were they, and are now they pulling in more people to backfill that? Is there a gap between senior leaders and lower level employees, meaning that depending on where you work, not all teams, that those senior leaders are going to be decision makers, and that the lower level employees are going to be doing all the work. That's exhausting. So it just means doing your homework in the same way that I would tell you to do your homework if you were looking at internal or external roles, right? You can't not do your homework. Do your homework. Drink your water. I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into yes, you can absolutely negotiate. It just has to soften, and you have to be an aware human that recognizes the difficult job market that we are in, the difficulty that recruiters are dealing with. They probably have a larger caseload now than they have. They are trying to fill roles probably as soon as they get opened, because the hiring manager doesn't want them to disappear. But proceed. Just proceed with kindness, I guess. Softness. Okay. I'm Ashley Hitchcock Francis, the Orange Lady. This is the Squeeze. This is the Squeeze podcast. Now you've got the juice. It's time to put it to use.